Can we reduce these homicides? I got on radio, and we brought the homicides in 2007 to 97, which has been the lowest number Columbus, Ohio has seen in 16 years. Reverend, if you work with me, we can do the same thing and have the same result in Chicago. And the final thing that I will say, I would love to email you and Miss Austin a copy of my book, Street Soldier, From the Hood to the Good. I published this book last April, and the one thing that has hurt me the most since I got myself out of prison with DNA, I never thought it would happen. I just knew when I wrote this book that took 10 years to write on a 6th grade level to save particularly our babies, because former gangsters will listen to another gangster. But when we are disenfranchised in school, it happens to us in prison. When we come out of prison, those that have don't care nothing about us. And I'm going to simplify the example that you both have presented eloquently well, and I pointed out in my book, Street Soldier, From the Hood to the Good. We're going to take a kernel of corn, and we're going to take 2 mice on 4 acres of corn, 2 black mice. When they see each other, they just as happy as they can be because they got plenty of corn to eat. They got economic empowerment. They got land. They got property. Their families are well-to-do. But now we're going to take those same 2 mice with their uneducated, non-reading selves. We're going to put them in a 4-by-4-foot cage, and we're going to hold a kernel of corn over their head for 2 weeks. We're going to starve them because, as Miss Austin said eloquently well, our babies are starved. Then when we drop that kernel of corn between them 2 mice, they're not going to fight. When I speak in schools, I say, what they going to do? The children say, fight. Oh, no. They're going to kill each other. So if you all would like, I would love for you, Reverend Sharp.
All right, well, hold on a minute. Let's pick him up and let me get his contact. That's powerful.
Oh, yeah, I do. I want to read more about what your experience and what you've learned and how it can inform. And I just want to pick up on a point that you made about the disenfranchisement of people who've been formerly incarcerated. Here in America, we've got a kind of funny system. You're accused of, you're tried for a crime, you're convicted. You go to prison. And first, before you go, you're sentenced, right? And so you're given a sentence certain that you are to serve a finite period of time. Let's say it's 15 years, it's 10 years, it's 8 years. You go to prison, you serve that sentence, you get out. And then you are sentenced to a lifetime of a crime, having committed a crime. Said differently, you do your time, but then you come out and you do your time differently. Because here in America, once you are a felon, once you are released, if your family lives in public housing, you may not be able to join them because public housing laws, have the right to screen you and say if you are a former convicted felon or if you are a felon with a record, you can't live in public housing. In some states, you're not allowed to receive food support or public assistance. Well, if your family needs food stamps or other food supports, then you can't help them get that access. You are not eligible in many instances for college tuition assistance. President Obama has sought to do something different about that and to give people who are felons access to college tuition, federal funding for college tuition, but it's not across the board. Additionally, you have an experience where your children have now grown up in households while you've been incarcerated with less income in the household. Children of incarcerated parents are more likely to live in poverty. So what we have is a continuing cycle, because once somebody is incarcerated and imprisoned, incomes go down. The income that is brought in the house is diverted to legal assistance, to getting families to and from the jails to visit their families. So you see people, children, languishing in poverty. The system does a double whammy. Person's in prison, and when they come out, they are further sentenced. You have the box situation. People have heard about that, the ban the box, where if you have been in prison, you come out and you start looking for a job. If an application has on it a box that says, check this box if you have been convicted of a crime, well, once that box is checked, there's a lesser likelihood that you are going to advance to the next round. In some states, we've seen that they've begun to take action to ban that box. But we also know that there's a consequence to that as well, because if you are a man, a black man, 1 in 3 black men likely to be incarcerated in his lifetime. So if you are a black man and you fill out an application And there is a period of time that you can't account for. You don't have to check the box.
That's right.
But you know what? You can't account for 3 years, 6 years. You can't show a job.
They know
you
what
can't
that
show
is.
education. They know what that is. So we're living in a society where we continue to criminalize, you know, people who have served their time. There is an inextricable link between poverty and incarceration. We have criminalized poverty in America, and we've got to start doing something different about it.
No doubt about it. Todd in Cleveland. Todd.
Al Sharp. Al Sharp, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Jennifer Austin. I particularly know a lot about this topic because of a particular type of volunteer project I have. The two strongest solutions are easy to understand but very difficult to implement. Here's the first one. We have to become better at starting our families. If you have a healthy investment in starting your family, and I'm talking about prior to conception, prior to you getting into a relationship that's even just serious to the point where you're going to have sex with somebody, even if you don't want to have sex with her to the point to conceiving a child, prior to all that, you have a clear understanding of what the cost may be in an ideal situation, just an ideal situation to get a child from 0 to 18 so that you have a good understanding of what your contributions may need to be in order to manage that cost so that you can manage that child. Now, that's just the money part. You also have to take into consideration that if you're planning a family with somebody, there's some cold facts that you really need to know about one another so that you understand